Pope Francis keeps dazzling. My God. So, he's talked about the gap between rich and poor in the past since he ascended to the papacy. But the growing gap between the wealthy and the poor has become a theme for him. And in this, they've issued a paper, the Vatican has, written by Pope Francis. It's 224 pages. Granted, it's like in Helvetica, and the font looks to be about 18, but still, it's 224 pages. It's 50,000 words, and his use he talked about trickle-down economics. He disparaged the trickle-down economic theory that, of course, Reagan made famous. And he is having none of it. And it is really amazing what he said today. And so I'm going to read you some of it because it's quite remarkable. Let's begin with 5b for the Pope, because this is, I thought, the most telling point that he made of all. Such an economy, the kind of economy that we have now, kills, says the Pope. How can it be that it is not a news item when an elderly homeless person dies of exposure, but it is news when the stock market loses 2 points? I mean, hard to argue with that. He continues, let's move on to 6. As long as the problems of the poor are not radically resolved by rejecting the absolute autonomy of markets and financial speculation and by attacking the structural causes of inequality, no solution will be found for the world's problems, or for that matter, to any problems. Today, everything comes under the laws of competition and the survival of the fittest, where the powerful feed upon the powerless. Masses of people find themselves excluded and marginalized, without work, without possibilities, without any means of escape. Human beings are themselves considered consumer goods to be used and then discarded. It is no longer simply about exploitation and oppression, but something new. The excluded are not the exploited, but the outcast, the leftovers. I mean, I find this staggering in light of what we've heard from religious leaders over the past 25 years. Maybe this is a nice reminder that, you know who was a religious leader? Martin Luther King was a religious leader. Sarah Palin spoke not about what the Pope said here, but what the Pope said weeks back, and she criticized it fairly significantly. Of course, she didn't really criticize the Pope. She criticized the way he was quoted, even though, of course, the quotes in the paper were taken verbatim from the Vatican release. But Sarah Palin tried to turn it into something about the lamestream media. And then she even walked back those criticisms. But if the Pope keeps talking like this, he is going to get tons of criticism from the right. And I don't care if he's the Pope. They can't contain themselves. It will come. Here's some more from the Pope. This is 9. This imbalance between the rich and poor is the result of ideologies which defend the absolute autonomy of the marketplace and financial speculation. He's dissing financial speculation. We have created new idols, says the Pope. The worship of the ancient golden calf has returned in a new and ruthless guise in the idolatry of money and the dictatorship of an impersonal economy lacking a truly human purpose. To all this, we can add widespread corruption and self-serving tax evasion, which have taken on worldwide dimensions. I don't see it possible that the right wing in this country can stay quiet while the Pope gets on them for self-serving tax evasion. The Pope is literally calling for, around the world, higher taxes on the rich so that we can give more for the poor. That sounds like the Pope is calling for a redistribution of wealth. That can't be. Except, of course, it makes perfect sense, because who would call for a instant and quick and thoughtful, mind you, definitely thoughtful redistribution of wealth would be Jesus. And this would appear to be a Pope that is actually taking the teachings of Jesus seriously. For the first time in my life, I find myself interested in news about the Pope and what the Pope will do next and what the Pope will say next. And it turned out, when he made that statement, this is what is so rare in a politician. He came out and said, look, I don't know whether I'm for gay marriage, and I'm not for gay marriage, and I'm not for abortion. We know he's not, right? he's not pro-choice, and I'm sure that he would rather gay people not get married. But what he said was, I'm done talking about it. And I'm certainly not going to tell a gay person that they don't belong in the kingdom of heaven or that God doesn't love them. And if they're gay and they want to get married, his point was, that's like the 838th thing I'd bring up to them. Like, there's so much more love that we can give, and we are done excluding. And it turned out, I think we can say, he meant it. He meant it. This is what he wanted to talk about. Important things about economic injustice affecting millions, billions, certainly hundreds of millions of people. Billions, of course. And he's doing something about it and talking about it, and maybe at some point changing the conversation so that when we start talking about a need to redistribute wealth in this country to a reasonable degree, not like Marx would have wanted, but like Clinton would have wanted. We talk about going back to tax rates of those days, not the tax rates of Eisenhower, and eliminating corporate loopholes, and not giving ExxonMobil and Shell and BP giant tax breaks, and taking that money and doing good for people who need good done for them for the first frickin' time in their lives. If we start having that conversation, the Pope is already leading the way on that. The Pope is being a leader on the most critical issues of the day. And I know he doesn't give a crap what I have to say about him, but God bless the Pope.